So good to see you, Ciarán. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I'm happy to report that since our last update, we have gained quite a few new followers and subscribers. So first of all, welcome to all the new folks who are joining us. My name is Greg O'Loughlin. I am the Executive Director of Friends of Sinn Féin USA. It's a role I've returned to after a 20-year hiatus, during which time I became a teacher and a teacher trainer. I am grateful to be back now and focused on the work of ensuring America's support for new and united Ireland. Once a month or so, we get the opportunity to sit down with Sinn Féin's representative to North America, Ciarán Quinn. It is not always easy to find time on Ciarán's busy calendar. He is responsible for so many details and projects, and we are grateful every time we get a chance to check in. I want to begin by acknowledging that this is a very heavy time in international politics. The current violence in Ukraine, in Palestine, in Israel is front and center for so many, and it is our sincere hope that the model of Ireland's peace process, which centered dialogue and politics after a ceasefire was called, can provide a model for what is possible. It's a topic we've addressed on a few occasions in our newsletter, so if you haven't already yet subscribed, please be sure to do so now so you never miss an update, news, or analysis. The focus of our work and the focus of this video update is Irish politics and the path to unity. Ciarán, it has been a while since we've had a chance to catch up like this. I'm very happy to see you. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, despite the sun, which is over my shoulder. We've been hit by a number of storms, and the latest one is actually Storm Ciarán.
Yeah, so, I saw that.
It's been pretty rough, but we'll get through it. It just means it's very damp. But it's great to be back, and it's great to have the opportunity to talk about what the political developments in Ireland and the exciting opportunity we have to build a new and united Ireland.
Thank you for that, and I hope Ciarán does little damage and blows through quickly as it goes through. Can we begin with a quick discussion, or not quick? We can take as long as we like. Discussion about where we are in the path to unity, specifically in regards to some comments made by a junior British minister. Steve Barker recently discussed the notion that he was of a mind that referendums would require a supermajority and wanted to kind of tinker with the letter of the Good Friday Agreement. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I always worry when a British minister takes it upon himself to think out loud, particularly on an issue which is settled, because the Good Friday Agreement makes clear that it's up to the people of Ireland, North and South, in referendums in both states, that if a majority votes for unity in both states, then there's a united Ireland, and there's an obligation on the governments. So the idea about the supermajority is actually is anti-democratic, because it puts an extra onus. I would just say, if he was thinking out loud, 60%. Not only is it outside of the agreement, but it also means then that, is there 60% required to maintain the status quo, or does my aspirations, hopes and votes for a united Ireland not count, or not carry the same weight as those who want to continue with the division of Ireland? So it wasn't a new intervention from people from a unionist background. Have always called for this, but let's call it out for what it is. It's anti-democratic. It's a gerrymander, and it's not going to run, because the Good Friday Agreement is very explicit that what is required is a simple majority. Now, you always want the maximum number of votes, and I would love 100% in support of unity. But let's be clear, the bottom line is 50% plus one. We want to get a lot more than that. We think we can get a lot more than that, but that's the rules. That's democracy. That's a majority.
Has that conversation prompted anyone in the Irish government to respond to the attempt, or at least the thought exercise of changing the agreement?
Well, both the Taoiseach, the leader Fianna Fáil, Micheál Martin, and the current Taoiseach, Leo Varadkar, responded. Both of them said, yes, of course, we would like a larger majority. They also says, but this is again a settled matter, and the Good Friday Agreement can and won't be changed. Now, they have a different perspective on this. They're not only are they in no rush, to a certain extent, they talk about wanting to see Irish unity, but refuse to actually plan for it.
Do the work.
They say they have an aspiration for Irish unity, but as you say, no work is getting done. And it'll not come about by evolution. There's a lot of work has to be done, and there's a lot of opportunities that have to be realised. So we need an Irish government actually being active, and that's where, if Sinn Féin was in government, we would be planning, preparing and advocating for unity, North and South. And that's what this government should be doing, and that's what the Good Friday Agreement leaves the opportunity for it to be realised.
And speaking of when you're in government. Let's take a peek at recent poll results. They looked to be really positive. Most recently, the Red Sea results came out a couple of days ago after the budget was announced. Talk to us about what that looks like to you and what that means.
Yeah, and again, the polls are just a particular point in time. The government in Dublin were looking for a bounce post their budget. They didn't get one. In fact, both parties were on the margins of falling, and Sinn Féin's opened up. So we've a 12-point lead over the and that poll, the Red Sea poll, with 12-point lead over Fine Gael. The government's combined vote, if you take Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, I leave Greens out just because, one, the polling's so low, but also they have said that they're open to working with us in government anyway.
Yeah.
So like there's our poll's at 32, the combined Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael poll is at 35%. And to put that into context, Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael run this state in opposition and a government for 100 years. So their polls have plummeted. So that's part of the opportunity. That's also one of the reasons why that they're trying to maintain the status quo and speaking against the concept of unity. But we're ideally placed for the year that's ahead of us. And do you want me to explain why the next year is going to be crucial? Or?
Yeah, that's where I was going to go into next. Ideally placed for the year ahead of us. We have on the horizon an unusual number of potential elections. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll deal with the south first, and then I'll come back to the north, because as as an all-Ireland party, we contest elections north and south. Yep. None of the other parties do that to anywhere near the same extent that we do. There's one minor party runs north and south, but the major parties don't. So we could be next June. We have elections set for Uras and the Gaeltacht, the EU parliamentary elections, and also local government elections, all in the 26 counties. So that's all in the southern part of Ireland. We are running hopefully we'll run a record number of candidates in those constituencies. We hope to maximise our vote. We hope to do well. We hope that because it's not just about being in the national parliament, it's about being in the European Parliament where we can make the change, but it's also about being in local councils and delivering locally for people. And our vision is from, it's often quoted, think nationally, act locally. So that's our approach. That we want to see strong Sinn Féin representatives in councils, working with strong Sinn Féin TDs, and hopefully Sinn Féin in government as well as represented in the EU. So the government, the general election in the south isn't due until, I think it's the end of February 2025. But the likelihood is that we could be fighting a general election in the south maybe this time next year. So we could have those local elections, European elections, and also the potential of a general election in the south, which, if we maintain our polling positions, that would open up an opportunity for Sinn Féin to be leading a government for the first time in history. Now, we take nothing for granted. We are a year out for this. Events happen in politics. But I think we're offering something to the people in this state and in the north. We're offering the opportunity to build a new and united Ireland. An opportunity to find a new state. That means about dealing with issues that have been neglected for years in this state, where it's housing, where it's healthcare, where it's immigration is being the stopfall. I mean, we are now a new generation is now leaving Ireland, because it's not because they can't get a job, because we've almost full employment. They can't get a house, and costs are rocketing because of that. So there's a great opportunity there. We will also more than likely in the north be fighting a British general election. So there'll be MP elections. It looks like this time next year as well.
Wow.
And then we could also have an election in January and February to the Assembly, which hasn't set. And, and the British government are obliged by legislation to move that election. But all of that wouldn't happen if the institutions are up and running, if the government's set up. And it's worth reminding people, it was 2 years ago that the DUP stopped and closed down the North-South All-Ireland working. It was 18 months ago they collapsed the government. 22 months ago they collapsed the government. And then for the past 10 months, they have refused to set a government up. So we've been adrift in the north
without local representation,
and without operating north-south institutions, all of which are about the Good Friday Agreement.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the time, we're well past the time for the DUP to make a decision. They're either coming back into the institutions as equals with others, or they're not coming back. And the two governments need to say, well, what does that mean in the short to medium term? How do we have a functioning north-south work? How do we have input into decision-making? What does that look like? While we await the DUP to come to decision. But the idea of having this vacuum isn't working.
No
and people are suffering.
And that was my next question. I'm not sure you have any update or insight into any news or developments in the establishment or reestablishment of the government.
No, there's a lot more speculation following the DUP's conference that Jeffrey Donaldson is lining up, and he's making the case that unionists' interests are best served in a functioning executive. That's for unionists to determine.
Yeah.
So at least he seems to be advocating for a return when the conditions are right for him. But we've been hearing that for the last 10 months.
Okay.
And it still hasn't happened. So I suppose it's a case of watch this space. If there's if the institutions aren't set up, that should trigger another election. And we're confident we will do well in that. But outside that, what needs to happen is, instead of going around these circles of elections in the north and then no government, the British and Irish governments need to say what the plan is.
Yeah.
This can't go on forever.
That brings us kind of to the role Irish America plays in American government and leadership. There's a clear role for Irish America to engage, to stay involved in what's going on, to when we are able to bring representatives over to the States to attend events and learn directly about the updates. And that's really part of the work that I kind of want to tease a little bit next. The role Irish America has to play is as important and is as live as ever. This is an incredible moment, right?
Absolutely. And so some people might have thought, oh, well, the North in Ireland is a settled piece, and it's done. It's a done deal. That's not what the Good Friday Agreement is about. It's about managing change. It's about managing that transition, and it's about that. It's for today, and it's also about tomorrow. So it's about further constitutional change. And if you think the US has no impact on this, the British government, since Brexit, did not want to renegotiate their position on Ireland, and we're quite open that they were quite relaxed about having a hard European border going down through Ireland, a European frontier. It was the American administration and American political representatives in Irish America made sure that the British government came back to the negotiating table, and we had a round of agreements. Irish America and the American administration and political leaders have been crucial in guaranteeing the Good Friday Agreement and acting as a continual guarantor of it. Because as events change, there's the mechanisms for managing those. And that could be issues like legacy, which have been to the forefront of people's heads, about trying to find some form of justice, reconciliation, and understanding. But back to our earlier conversation, all of this, what we are going to need is, as we progress towards a path towards Irish unity, the role of the US is going to be crucial in that. In one, making sure the British government honour their commitments, that they act in an open way, in terms of the future of Ireland is for the people north and south to determine. So there's a lot there to come down, but we will, through the peace process, the US and Canada will be crucial in that. Our diaspora will be crucial in shaping these events. So there's very much a role to play, but also we're on a very exciting journey to Irish unity. The dream of many who left these shores over centuries was to come back to a free and equal and open Ireland and sovereign nation.
And speaking of the role Irish America and Canada can play, I know I want to just tease a big event happening in New York in early March. Stay tuned for more information about that to be coming out. Do you have any other information or news coming about how people can get involved?
Well, I think we're working on. I know that there's a number of Irish American groups and friends at Sinn Féin are looking at plans. for an event in New York. But the debate's live in Ireland. I mean,
Yeah.
the bookshelves over my shoulder, there's a shelf of books alone relating to Irish unity, its potential, what it looks like, and academic studies. So that's very much the fore. Groups like Ireland's Future are running events. There's a great project between actually Pennsylvania University, the Kew Institute of Notre Dame, UCD, and I think it's Queen's, and it's called the Aarons Project. Yeah. So all looking at the potential, looking at how unity referendums would be held, what the potential for economics would be, what the potential for public service would be. So yeah, it's a very much a live debate, and Sinn Féin are also rolling out
a series of commissions, right, all over.
Unity commissions, and I mean, we can put the connections to those, but they're very much engaging. It's about talking to people about the future.
That's right.
And about what their hopes for a united Ireland would be, what a new Ireland would look like, because crucially, it is not just about bolting the north onto the south. It is about creating something new, something that hasn't existed in the history of either state, and that is a prosperous and equal home for all.
That's right. Thank you. And we have shared videos, updates, and reports from all of the commissions over the past couple of months. You can find those on our website. And again, be sure you're subscribed to our newsletter, because as those reports are published and video recaps of those are made, we always share those with our followers here, really to maintain touch with the way in which this is truly a live issue and requires our full engagement. Ciarán, thank you very much for your time. Again, really appreciate catching up. I look forward to talking to you again in about a month.
Yeah, I hopefully it's been more exciting than it has been for my dog, which hasn't even raised an eyebrow. He's still asleep there.
Pipe down, he's
He's down.
All right, we'll see you in a month.
And I look forward to seeing you. Hopefully we'll have people in Canada. Sorry, I should have said.
Good.
We'll have people in Ottawa and Canada, in the Maritimes, and in Toronto before Christmas, and watch this space. Hopefully, I and somebody else will be out in the States to brief political representatives in advance of Christmas.
Excellent. And to find out more information, make sure you're following Friends of Sinn Féin and Friends of Sinn Féin Canada to find out where you can get details about attending those events.
That's where you'll hear it first, Greg.
That's exactly right. Yeah, thank you, Ciarán.